When it comes to iconic moments from the golden era of bodybuilding, Ric Drasin is the go-to storyteller. He's been a member of the original Gold's Gym in Venice since its inception. He trained daily with Arnold, Franco, and Lou, and he even designed the Gold's Gym logo, which is famous to this day. Ric dedicated his life to bodybuilding and pro wrestling. Later he got into film and media, appearing in feature films and countless commercials. I've interviewed Ric on a few occasions before, but it never gets old. I stopped by his home studio in LA to hear most stories about his infamous Venice days, and also to discuss old school versus new school bodybuilding, and see what the future holds for the sport and the culture. How you doing, Ric?
I'm doing good. It's a lazy day. I mean, I did everything already, so it tired me out. Worked out, did everything.
You work out every day still?
Yeah, I go every day. I have the time. I make the time in the morning. I go for an hour, split up my body parts. I don't go heavy like I used to, but I do a moderate weight for 8 to 12 reps, but quick. So I can hit 2 body parts and cardio within an hour. That's plenty for me.
How much worked out all your life?
Since I was 17.
You never got tired of it?
Nope. You know what? It's a way of life. And the thing is that I don't need to get big. I've been there. I'm okay at this weight, 222, and actually it's probably too heavy. But I just want to stay in shape. I'll be 74 in July. And most guys my age have 1 foot in the grave. If somebody would have fallen like I did Saturday, they would have been in the hospital.
So what happened exactly?
I had the dog and we were at a restaurant, and there's a walkway up into the restaurant. As you just turn to the tables, I tripped on his leash and on the cement and went face down. My knee and my hands and everything. And this hand, these fingers were cut off and they were sewn down so they don't bend. So when I hit them, it skinned them, and they're numb anyway, so that's the worst thing that happened. Other than that, I'm okay.
Sorry to hear that, man.
No, I was okay. I just stayed there and I ate and I went about my business. But it's different than falling in that ring.
I want to ask you about wrestling. Like I always, obviously there's Olympic wrestling, right? There's like wrestling that people do in high school, Olympic sports, obviously, right? College wrestling, right? That's like one thing.
Yeah.
But then there is you were wrestling in WWE type stuff, right?
Yeah.
Now, the point of the wrestling, right? It's a show. It's not.
Right.
It's obviously very, it's enduring. It's an enduring like physical activity, but it's not a sport. Kind of you know who's gonna win, right?
Well, let me stop you there. Yeah, it is a sport.
I want you to explain like the point of wrestling.
Look, when I learned how to wrestle, a lady by the name of Mae Young, who was a world champion at 40 years old, was a very well-respected woman, and she trained me upstairs at the Olympic Auditorium in a small ring. This woman could beat the shit out of any guy. She was a tough cookie. So she taught me shoot wrestling, which is what we do at schools, really take downs and stretch them out in submission holds. I had to learn that first, which I had a little background in college. And then she taught me American style wrestling, which we do all in the left arm, left leg in the ring. And then she taught me Japanese style, which is on the right side, Mexican style on the right side. And so I had to learn all the way to do it because I was working all different ethnics in that day. The idea of a wrestling show is to go 15 minutes, put on a show for the people, good versus bad, like the Roadrunner cartoon is good versus evil. So if I'm going to be the good guy, the baby face, I'm the hero. The heel, the bad guy, is going to beat me up for about 80% of the match to get the mercy on me of the people who really want me to win. Then when I make a comeback and I come back, he sells for me and jumps out of the ring and goes all over the place, and they go nuts, and then we figure out a finish. All right, so you have a predetermined finish because it's crowd psychology. But what you do in the ring are real holds. They're real deal. It's a real headlock. It's a real wrist lock, leg lock, figure four. Those things hurt. So you try to do, not to apply a lot of pressure to hurt somebody, but you got to make it look good. And you can't fake it too much in front of people. They'll see it.
Right.
So it's like playing football. Those guys get hurt on the field. Every time you're in a wrestling match, it's like a car accident. You're giving a shoulder block, you're taking a bump, you're flying over the ring, you're getting hit with a steel chair. I mean, that's all real stuff. And there's no way around it. I've got a ton of injuries from that.
You ever seen that movie, The Wrestler?
Yeah, I did.
You seen the part where the guy had the razor blade like hidden in his, he put it like in a rubber band or something and he sliced himself?
There's 2 ways to do that. You can tape it to your finger, and when the match is going, the guy starts hitting you, you fall out of the ring, and you just do a little cut. You break the blade on the cement and toss it underneath so no one can get it, and then you start to bleed.
Jeez. And
what that does is when they say red brings green, meaning blood brings money. More money, the more you bleed, more money you bring into the audience.
But they don't do it in WWE, right?
They got rid of it.
It's more like an underground.
They got rid of it when they started dealing with kids a lot. They didn't want to have that on their name. But that's how it worked back in the day.
You did it too?
I did it too. And then some guys would keep a razor blade under their tongue here and then just take it out and do it and put it back. I would never want to do that. But I've seen guys do it. And a lot of the older wrestlers, you'll see they have all this scar tissue up and down their foreheads, like Abdullah the Butcher and people like that. That's all from being cut so much. And the more gig lines you have on the top of your head, the more, they say, the more main events you had.
So you've followed closely the bodybuilding industry.
Yeah.
And obviously the wrestling industry.
Yeah.
Which one is more complex, in your opinion?
Well, bodybuilding is about nutrition and training. You know, it's a basic thing. You work out and you eat properly. And then there's the drugs involved. You have to know the right combination, because over the years things have really changed. When I started training years ago in the 60s, the only thing I knew about was Dianabol. And that was 2 years later from Bill Pearl. Nobody knew about drugs, but even the bodies in the 50s and 40s, they had great bodies just naturally. And people tell me, oh, they were on drugs. And I don't believe that. I mean, I was 10 years old, what I know. But I think that's a big factor in the bodybuilding end, because today they take everything. And then you see people like Rich Pion and people like that got so huge that, you know, everything goes wrong on them. It's sad. Now with wrestling, it keeps evolving and keeps changing, but the work in the ring is accelerated to more gymnastics than it was years ago. But it's still the same business. They're both complex in their own way.
What was the most important thing you learned from Joe Gold?
How to be cranky.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Joe was a great guy. He did me a lot of favors. If he liked you, he really liked you. If he didn't like you, you knew it. So Vince Gironda was the same way. You know, gym owners, as they get older, they get cranky. And the reason they get cranky, I finally figured it out, because the gym attracts a lot of weird people. You have your good ones and you have your jerks. Right. Gypsy Boots was a self-made nutritionist. He was a hippie that came around the beaches in the 70s, long beard, skinny, hairy body. And he would go in Joe's gym and take the sauna. So Joe comes in one day and he's pissing on the sauna. He says, "What are you doing, Gypsy?" He says, "I'm peeing on here. I want an actual sauna." He says, "Get out of my gym and don't ever come back." I've never seen him so dumb. So, and they would kick people out for dropping the weights. You couldn't bring music in there. You couldn't do this, couldn't do that. I get it, because you're putting up, I'm only in the gym here for an hour in the morning, but I hear the night crowd is really crazy. I never wanted to own a gym because of that.
All right, I want to just switch gears and briefly talk about, you know, the industry after Rich Piana, in your opinion.
Yeah.
It's been like what? How long has it been since he passed away?
It's been, I think it was maybe 6 or 8 months ago.
6 or 8 months ago.
Could be longer, but I don't know.
Do you think the industry changed at all without him? Do you think
no.
something happened?
No, I think Rich was in a league of his...
What kind of effect do you think his death had on the industry?
Well, we were all very close to the gym. I've known him 20 years. He's been 22 shows with me. I've done several commercials. It's a wonderful guy. I was really hurt. They asked me to do the eulogy at the funeral, which I did, and a couple other guys.
We spoke about that, I remember. Yeah,
I was very, very upset about it. You know, he did it to himself. It's very obvious, and you can't say that he didn't. He did a lot of stuff, and it backfires on you. He wasn't a competitive bodybuilder, but he had his own following. And I know that the Fitness Expo, that they didn't have anybody this year to see him. Of course, that cuts down a lot of people. That will change the industry, but it won't change bodybuilding at all. I mean, people come and then they go and then they're forgotten. You know, I never forget them, and a lot of people won't, but the average world will, because just time moves on.
Do you think his company, the 5% Nutrition, will be able to survive without
No.
him? You don't believe it?
No, that's like having Rick's Corner without Rick. You know, you have a guy named Slick and call it Slick's Corner. It can't survive because he was the business. You know, if you're the business and that's your name and that's your company, once you're gone, who are they gonna come see at the expo if he's not there?
We have Martin Ford now. He took over his position.
Who?
Martin Ford.
I don't know Martin Ford.
He's a fitness personality also.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know him, so I don't know. I don't think it's going to be the same thing though. You can't replace him. He is the guy.
Seriously.
You mean Martin Ford dealership, car dealership?
You're funny, man.
People come and go. I mean, Arnold was the top of the game for years, and he runs his shows. And when he goes somewhere, people come to see him, and he knows how to market himself. Rich was the same way. He knew how to market himself. And what you saw with this tough guy image and all the 20% and all the language and all that, he wasn't like that at all.
Correct.
He wasn't even at all like that. He was a very soft-spoken, nice guy. He came over here, he was a real gentleman all the time. But that's who he attracted, those guys. And when I went to the funeral, a lot of the guys were there, you know, the tattooed faces, the necks and all that, crying like babies, which I understand, that's their guy. We were all crying. But I don't know who's going to take over. It's like killing the queen bee and the bees fly around looking for a place to land. The nest is gone. I don't know. Bodybuilding today doesn't seem to have any leaders that I can see.
For that company specifically or in general?
In general.
Really?
And the company too. I mean, his ex-wife and his girlfriend are doing something with it, but what can they do? come see me.
There's a lot of new guys coming up in it. I'm saying not for that company, but just in general. There's a lot of newcomers, right?
Yeah, and I'm not real familiar with them, but I've never seen anybody that had the charisma that Schwarzenegger did. You know, the guys back then had charisma. They knew how to get people in. People wanted to see their personalities. I saw Jay Cutler, no offense to him. I saw him doing a seminar once at the Fitness Expo. He's sitting on a chair like this with a microphone just talking like this. Why don't you get up and stand behind a podium and present yourself, you know, like a gentleman that you're a celebrity, and present yourself. You don't sit down like this and say, well, anyway, you can't even hear him. And I don't see that in today's bodybuilders. I don't see anybody really coming out there like really setting the audience right.
Well, thank you so much, Rick.
That's it? You don't need more from me?
Man, it was a great interview, man.
Oh,
it was fantastic.
I feel like I've been cast aside like
warming up.
like a cast aside like an old bedroom
So
slipper.
we'll do a little handheld. We're gonna follow him around a little bit. Maybe you can talk about these pictures.